I have been following Ting for 5 years. I was kidnapped at the same time as his white moonlight love. And he chose her. The kidnapper who was watching the show nearby suddenly laughed, and leaned down to whisper in my ear. Say you like me, and I'll kill them for you. Ting was the target of my pursuit. I wholeheartedly pursued him for 5 years. Just on the day of our engagement tomorrow, I was kidnapped along with his white moonlight love. The two of us sat on the floor in the warehouse, looking at each other. The white moonlight love was crying pitifully. Her eyes red like a little rabbit, making people feel sorry for her at first sight. The two kidnapper minions beside me were playing Fight the Landlord. The thin one was so stupid that I couldn't wait to play for him. Seeing that he was about to play the wrong card again, I spat out the cloth ball in my mouth, straight flush. The thin man praised me for playing cards well, then picked up the tattered cloth ball on the ground and blocked my mouth again. I'll fuck you. Whew. Just as he finished stuffing it, Ting arrived. Ting frowned and glanced at me and his white moonlight love. But I felt that he looked at his white moonlight love first. Seeing the thin kidnapper stuffing a tattered cloth into my mouth, Ting said, "Don't touch her. I'll give you as much money as you want." I was so moved that I let out a howl. Maybe the howl was too loud. The thin man seemed to be more forceful, and he even woke up the kidnapper boss. The kidnapper boss was also very carefree. At such a tense moment, he was still sleeping on the sofa at the back, probably awakened by my howl. He slowly sat up. There was a smiling face mask on his face, but obviously I could feel his extremely terrifying getting up anger. The kidnapper boss put his hand on the back of the sofa chair and pointed at me from a distance with his finger. Then a lazy voice was heard. Cut out her tongue. I was stunned. Why doesn't this person follow the routine? Aren't they supposed to negotiate first? Why start using knives and guns as soon as he opens his mouth? What if he cuts his beloved? How can he still get the money? The thin man had a villain-like smile and walked towards me casually with a small knife. Just as he pinched my chin, Ting shouted, "Stop! What do you want to do? Let Jojo go." Woo. Good man. I love you all my life. The kidnapper boss chuckled. He played with the dagger in his hand, talking about killing people as easily as killing chickens and chopping vegetables. Oh really? 2 people. Choose one. Ting looked at me and his white moonlight love and was silent. My heart sank. Ting looked at me apologetically, as if saying sorry. I choose one or white moonlight love. Fuck you. Bastard. Go to hell. You dog. The thin man cut the rope with a swoosh, and Schwanner stumbled and tearfully ran towards Ting, and Ting also hugged her with a look of heartache. The thin man had an ant-like smile. He tore off the tattered cloth in my mouth and asked me, "Aren't you embarrassed?" I closed my eyes. Give me a quick death. None of men are good things. The kidnapper boss sat on the sofa, giving the impression of a calm and skillful game controller. He leaned forward slightly, with his arm on his knee. Even more irritating was that although he was wearing a mask, I thought he must have a face of watching the show at this time. Seeing me cursing, he suddenly laughed. Not convinced? Give me the knife. I'll stab you now. Are you convinced? He laughed even more happily. And that pair of scumbags had already snuggled up to each other and started reminiscing about the past. Why didn't you say so earlier? If I had known that Ting was such a tough nut to crack, I would have changed my pursuit target. The kidnapper boss seemed to see through my thoughts. He suddenly got up and walked in front of me, bent down, and lifted my chin with his index finger. With a light chuckle, he leaned down and whispered in my ear, "Say you like me, and I'll kill them for you. Is there such a good thing?" I didn't hide the joy on my face and pointed at them. Do it. Kill them all. All of them die. Die. The thin kidnapper, boss. This woman really can't hide anything on her face. The kidnapper boss tilted his head and whistled. Ting and the white moonlight love both looked over at the same time. The kidnapper boss tilted his head, looking mischievous. I seemed to have forgotten to say just now, I ask you to choose one to die. Ting's face suddenly changed drastically. And I couldn't hold back my obvious smile. Chuaner's feet went weak and she directly fell into Ting's arms. I couldn't help it a little. Hey! You two should at least pay attention to the occasion. Ting is my fiancé. You bitch! Chuaner shook her head helplessly. Brother Ting. I don't want to die. Damn it. She's so good at it. I hesitated and looked at the kidnapper boss. Trying to act coquettious fly. Brother. I don't want to die either. The thin kidnapper and the fat kidnapper both made retching sounds at the same time. But I felt that under the mask of the kidnapper boss. He was smiling. Ting looked at the kidnapper boss. As if after careful consideration. Give you 200 million. Let Chuaner go. I felt insulted. What about me? Didn't he even want to pay Yuan for me just now? The kidnapper boss. Deal. Didn't we agree that you would help me kill this pair of scumbags? The thin man untied the rope for me. After all, Ting chose to give up on me just now. But unexpectedly it indirectly chose me to live. I stood up angrily. With a long face. Just as I was about to leave. I felt someone put their hand on my shoulder. Pressing me so that I couldn't move. Up close. I could see the eyes under the kidnapper boss's mask. Dark. A pair of extremely beautiful amorous beach blossom eyes. He directly picked me up by the waist and carried me on his shoulder. He sneered, 200 million. Plus her. I want them all. Ting frowned even more severely. But I knew he must think I wasn't worth it. However, this kidnapper boss was so smart. Not only did he figure out who Ting really loved in just a few words, but he also easily got 200 million. So, after getting in the car, I immediately begged for mercy. Let me go. You've got the money. And I'm not valuable. The kidnapper boss propped his chin and looked at me with great interest. You're self-aware. Seeing that he had no intention of letting me go, I finally just gave up. Then give me a quick death. Anyway, that scumbag doesn't want me anymore. Suddenly, the kidnapper raised his hand and took off his mask and voice changer. A deep voice made me feel shocked. Then be with me. I'm known for being very affectionate. My jaw dropped. The kidnapper was actually Ting's younger brother. Chen. Chen was Ting's younger brother. The illegitimate son of the Liu family. On normal days, when we met, he would still say hello and call me sister. He was such a cute boy. His smile was sunny, and he was extremely well behaved. The only thing that made me feel the contrast was that he actually had such a deep voice. When he was close, shouting sister could make my eardrums tingle. On the surface, he looked harmless. But secretly he was a bad guy who killed, set fires and kidnapped. I was a bit confused. Chen. Why don't you do something good? Why do you learn to kidnap people? And extort so much money from your brother? Chen raised his eyebrows. Do you still feel sorry for him? No. If you had said so earlier, maybe we could have extorted more money from him if we had cooperated. Chen took off his coat. With the corners of his mouth rising, your face can't hide even 50 cents. The car stopped at a garbage station. And the thin man threw all the kidnapping equipment into the trash can. Immediately, the car drove out again. Then. Where are you taking me now? The car drove into the tunnel. In the dark environment, Chen's cute face suddenly became unfathomable. He said slowly, kill. Choose silence. I shuddered. Are you really going to kill me? There was already a sob in my voice when I spoke. Don't kill me. Okay? I'll definitely keep this matter a secret today. I covered my eyes again by myself. Nothing happened just now. I haven't seen your face. And I haven't heard what you said. Right? Trust is the ladder of human progress. Right? It's not good to fight and kill. Let's use the conciliatory policy. Okay. The thin man seemed to get out of the car first. Brother Liu. I can't stand it. She talks too much. The car was immediately quiet. I quickly shut my mouth. for fear that the other party would really be annoyed by me and kill me. After all, in this time travel world, there are all kinds of absurd people and things. I covered my eyes, but I could hear the other person's breathing. Not talking? Chen's voice was even more alluring in this enclosed space. I shook my head, but I didn't dare to move. Who knew if he would really kill me with one knife? He laughed. I felt a pain on my lips. Chen actually bent down and bit me, with the lingering sound of his deep voice. His tone carried blatant seduction and frivolity. Just right. I don't like fighting and killing either. As for the interest for not killing you, I'll collect it next time. Sister. Then there was no sound in the car. It was a long time before I dared to put my hand down. I lost my pursuit target, was sold out, and didn't get a cent of the 200 million. The more I thought about it, the sadder I became, and I couldn't help crying out loud. After crying, I was just about to get out of the car. The thin man bent down and entered the driver's seat, looking at me complexly through the rear-view mirror. A seemingly gentle girl. How can she cry like a pig being slaughtered? Then he muttered in a low voice. I don't know what Brother Lou likes about you. He even asked me to send you back. I cried even more sadly. The thin man drove me home. It was the Liu family. Full of doubts. As soon as I stood firm and turned my head, the thin man drove away without a trace. There was no one at the gate. I walked to the gate feeling dirty and sad. Just as I was about to call someone, I heard voices inside. Ting, uncle, don't be impatient. I've already tried to save people. Jojo will definitely be fine. My father had a loud voice. He was extremely worried, shouting. What did the kidnappers ask for? Is it money? We'll give as much as they want. We're not short of money. After all, the Liu family was rich. And my Yu family was not bad either. But Ting's ruthlessness was far beyond my imagination. He said, the kidnappers want 500 million. Fuck? So Ting counted the 200 million ransom for his white moonlight love as double, and put it on my father's head? My father. I'll let my secretary transfer the money right away. I'm so angry that my hands are shaking. It's okay to mess with me. But if you touch my money, then don't blame me for turning my back on you. Huh. Just as I was about to jump in and tear apart this man's hypocritical face, something even more absurd happened. My father suddenly remembered tomorrow's engagement banquet. Then, let's cancel tomorrow's engagement banquet for now. It's such a critical moment. Ting, uncle. There's no need to cancel it. The kidnappers only want money. I've already confirmed on my way here that Jojo is safe. If we cancel the engagement banquet at this critical moment, the media will surely make a big fuss, which will have an impact on the stock values of our two companies. My father was in a dilemma. After all, in this time travel world, my mother was killed because someone called the police after she was kidnapped. The old fox, who is usually so calculating in the business world, was completely flustered in this matter and obeyed Ting completely. So what do you think we should do? Ting's voice slowly rang out, as if after careful consideration. Uncle, I have a friend Juaner, who is very similar to Jojo in figure and features. I mean, let her replace Jojo to attend the engagement ceremony tomorrow. But don't worry. When Jojo comes back, I will compensate her with a grand and ceremonious wedding. I vomited. Really vomited. I was so hungry after being kidnapped in the morning that I was whining. The fat kidnapper thought I was too noisy and fed me 3 deep-fried dough sticks, a glass of milk, and 3 buns. I could have eaten more. But the thin man stopped him. He scolded the fat man and told him to stop feeding me, or he would develop feelings for me if he fed me more. It's quite something that Ting to make me vomit from disgust. I could hear his calculating clearly even from such a distance. Juaner does look very much like me. This is probably a common problem in cheesy early day stories. I don't want this either. I'm justice to end in. What a great plan. These two plan to put on a fake show tomorrow. Anyway, They don't know whether I'm dead or alive. If I die, they will turn this fake show into a real one. What a loss. I was about to kick the door open in anger, when there was a sharp pain in the back of my neck. Before I passed out, I seemed to see Schwanner. When I opened my eyes again, I was tied up again. After I cursed at the other person's elders 3 times in a row, the person who was fully armed with a hat and a face mask and driving the car spoke. You're really noisy. No wonder Ting doesn't want you. Is it really Schwanner? I calmed down my urge to pounce on her and bite her to death. Tell me, what do you want to do? Schwanner, I'm sorry. You can't show up tomorrow. So that you 2 scumbags can do something secretly and turn the fake into real? Schwanner, I'm sorry. Ting and I are true love. Fuck you. If it's true love, then why did you drag me into this? And you still want to use my father to fill the 200 million yuan ransom gap? And double it? I struggled to pounce on her and bite her to death. Schwanner trembling lied took out a syringe from her bag and, looking frightened but actually very accurately, stabbed it into my neck. I'm sorry. Joe. As long as tonight passes and Ting gets 500 million. From now on, we'll leave each other alone. Amid my kind and considerate curses, I gradually lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes, I was lying on a man's bed. This familiar plot. A cheesy plot. If I'm not mistaken, the man taking a bath in the bathroom is Chen. And this is Chen's villa. What's suffocating is that there is a party in the living room and the outdoor swimming pool. I was stripped down to my underclass and thrown into the quilt. Schwanner should have swapped me with some beauty who was going to have something with Chen tonight. Her purpose is obvious. If something improper happened between me and Chen, then Ting could justifiably break up with me, and the 500 million would already be in his hands. Really make me lose both the person and the money. Damn. This vicious woman and that scumbag. I was just about to get up from the bed when someone knocked on the door. Oh, Brother Liu. Are you going to bed so early after taking a bath? The boys outside were laughing maliciously. Can't you hold it in? The bathroom door opened. Before seeing the person, his voice was heard. A lazy, deep male voice with moisture and magnetism said, Since you know, why don't you leave? I fell down with a clang, covered my face and lay still, not daring to breathe. The people outside left. I heard footsteps, then the sound of the automatic curtain closing. And then Chen said, Your toe is showing. Is it uncomfortable if it doesn't embarrass me to death? I curled up my toes, trying to pretend that I didn't hear him. And Chen's voice was obviously closer. Just as I was still thinking about how to explain why I was here, he said, Are you ready? Sister. Goosenst instantly rose on my body. Does he know it's me? I jumped up from the bed and looked at him warily. After one glance, I turned around. Blushing, Could you please put on your clothes? Oh my god. These perfect tapey S and the V-shaped muscles on his abdomen. Are they for me to see for free? Thinking about Ting. That scumbag. In 5 years. He still dressed very tightly at night, for fear that a piece of skin would be exposed in the full by me. He said it was for my reputation, not wanting to touch me before marriage. So he just hated me. Woo. As a time traveler, I'm so miserable. As if on purpose. Chen casually threw aside the bathrobe that was loosely draped over him. His extremely black peach blossom eyes stared at me. Every step he took was highly aggressive. Chen bent down. It's a long night. Can you sleep? I stammered. What? What do you want to do? When I let you go, I said I would collect the interest. I gulped, and somehow nodded. And then the two of us played fight the landlord, all night in the room. Boom. I arrogantly threw out the 2 jokers and stretched out my hand to Chen. Pay up. Chen sat opposite me with his legs propped up. His messy hair made him look like a big golden retriever at this time. He looked easygoing at the moment. I took the opportunity to say, Brother, why don't you let me go? Or lend me your phone. Chen's hands shuffling the cards didn't stop. The cards made all kinds of beautiful arcs in his hands. He curved his lips. No. Lock you up for one night, and get 100 million. It's quite a good deal. My God. Who on earth is he? A terrifying thought began to pop up in my head. Is he in cahoots with Schwanner? I shrank back a little. Chen. Are you and Schwanner in cahoots? Chen laughed so hard that his shoulders kept shaking. The monkey was right. You really can't hide anything. Feeling insulted again. I immediately darkened my face and got up to leave. Then I'll tell Ting about you pretending to be a kidnapper to extort money from him. Chen reached out and pulled. And I rolled into his arms with the quilt. Want to leave? Chen raised his eyebrows. And with a light flick of his finger, I felt my neck go empty. My clothes are gone. It's chilly. Oh no. It seems I've stepped on a mine. Chen. I can't figure him out. To be honest. With my poor judgment. I don't even understand why I was selected to enter the time travel world. Let alone Chen. In 5 years. I couldn't even understand Ting. Compared with the heroines in other novels who are full of cleverness from head to toe. I feel that the system has chosen the wrong person. Anyway. The task given by the system is just to find a man to fall in love with. Change into Chen is also okay. Right? But I don't dare. Chen has one secret after another. I always feel that if he sells me, I'll still count the money for him. Chen's face was close. Desire mixed with a bit of drunkenness. I held my breath. Cautiously. I said, that day when you kissed me. Why? He lowered his head. I just wanted to kiss. So I did. This casual tone made me feel slighted. I said seriously. Chen. Then. Do you like me? If he said, yes. I would immediately change my target. Anyway. I don't have any earth-shattering big tasks to do. It's just an ordinary little love-seeking task. But after a while. I saw Chen's peach blossom eyes smiling. He sat up. With a tone wrapped in the typical arrogance of a rich playboy. For real? He casually picked up the bathrobe and put it on. Then it's boring. I have someone I like. It's not you. My heart was pierced by thousands of arrows. If you don't like me, then why ease me? Good guy. You really don't show any mercy. Falling into the hands of these two brothers of the Liu family. It's my bad luck. My heart, within just one day, has been hit hard by love twice in a row. The little person in my heart was crying crazily. Wailing. I silently said, System. Change my task for me. While you Wosha. I don't want to fall in love anymore. Ding dong. The system said listlessly. How can you be such a noisy host? Change the task? Since your task points are insufficient. If you want to change the character midway, only the passerby role is left. Passerby? A supporting female role? The system, not even a supporting female role. A passerby role not even worthy of having a name. Then what's the task? The system, there's no task. A laid-back life will last until 100 years later to end. Although the family is poor, at least you will be safe, happy, and have a happy life. I hesitated. At present, once I complete the JoJo task line, I can immediately return to the real world. And I can also get 1,000,000 U on bonus. The annoying thing is that I need to find someone to fall in love with. For the passerby role, I need to live here peacefully until I die of old age. After thinking it over and over again, I finally made a decision. Before Chen went out, he gave me an ambiguous look. Once the money arrives, I'll let you go. Be good. Actually, I don't understand him. I don't understand why he kidnapped me, took the money, and finally let me go. He clearly showed that he was interested in me. And now he's cooperating with Schwanner for 100 million. And he doesn't admit that he likes me. Such a jerk. My head hurts from thinking. But I still can't figure out the reason. Pursuing a man and falling in love are really not suitable for me. What suits me best is still to be laid back. What if I don't? He licked his lips and smiled dangerously. Not obedient? Break your legs. I shuddered again. Since he dared to kidnap people, what else wouldn't he dare to do? Seeing that I was probably really scared, he dressed himself again, turned his back to me, and after a while, his tone softened a bit. Jojo, stay here. As long as you're good, I won't touch you or hurt you. But you don't like me. Yet you gave me a kiss. And that has already hurt me. As soon as Chen left, I knocked out the servant who came in with a stool when he wasn't paying attention. The next day, a piece of news scrolled onto the front page headline. Shocking. Jojo, the daughter of the richest man, drove drunk and the car crashed into the cliff. Shocking. Jojo, the daughter of the richest man, was nowhere to be found. Changsha En, the richest man, turned white-haired overnight. Shocking. Chen, the illegitimate son of the Liu family. All right. Stop shocking. I interrupted the system's broadcast impatiently. I'm in a hurry to cut pigweed. I don't have time to listen to this. Besides, why are you just getting connected to the internet about something that happened a year ago? The system whined. It's all because you chose such a remote place. It's good enough to be able to connect to the internet. My name is Qiao Kie now. I'm a per-female college student in the village. Last year, I delayed my enrollment for a year because of a broken leg. Today is the day of my official enrollment. Just as I was about to go out, my mother stopped me. Although Mother Yu's eyes are bad, after using the remaining system points to change my face, voice, and identity, everyone in the village thinks I'm Qiao. Only Mother Yu. She knows that I'm not her daughter. Qiao Kie. I've saved some money here. Take it all. Mother heard that there are a lot of places to spend money in college. Mother Yu stuffed a big stack of crumpled old banknotes into my hand. I pretended to take them with red-rimmed eyes. Mom, I can earn money by working after going to college. Keep the money for yourself in the future. When I got on the bus at the village entrance, I heard her call out softly. She called out, Jojo, take care of yourself. My tears immediately fell. It seems that besides my father, she is the only one in this world who truly treats me well. My cell phone vibrated. Do you need me to pick you up? It was a text message from Jojo. That is, the real Qiao Kie. Qiao Kie, who was ordinary before, has now become the favored daughter Jojo. When I found her, I proposed the option of exchanging lives, using the last points for a pseudo-exchange, rather than a complete exchange mandatorily by the system. The pseudo-exchange also has an advantage. We both complete each other's life trajectories with each other's faces. Because it's a pseudo-exchange, and the fact of the exchange already exists, the system can't judge the actual situation. In the trajectory of being the richest man's daughter, Qiao Kie will still have a peaceful life as she originally did, and will not be troubled by the love line. The system was also impressed by my move. Good guy. You don't seem very smart. But you actually found a loophole in the system? Are you exploiting a glitch? There's no rule saying it's not allowed either. The system, 6. And Qiao Kie was obviously very excited when she heard about my situation. Compared with my life, her ordinary life was obviously less attractive. During this year, Qiao Kie really didn't have any intention of falling in love at all, and was only focused on her career. When Qiao Kie went to my house, she used the pretext of amnesia. Moreover, she deliberately chose the day when Ting was turning the fake into real and was about to marry Zhuaner. Almost made them sick to their stomachs. No need. I replied to Qiao Kie. Let's try to contact as little as possible in the following time, to avoid being discovered by Ting. Qiao Kie. Okay. By the way, Jojo, why do I always feel that Chen looks at me strangely? Could he have discovered something? Chen? That guy. Even when he looks at a dog, His eyes seem affectionate. I was just a love-struck fool at that time and was on the love-seeking track. And was in a hurry to pursue a target. That's why I was so disturbed by his kiss. Impossible. I continued typing. Qiao Kie doesn't know any details about my relationship with Ting and Chen. She claims to have amnesia externally. Even a lie detector won't detect anything. She really doesn't know. So Chen can't possibly see that she's a fake. Everyone will only think that Jojo really has amnesia. Remember what I reminded you before. I typed quickly. The matter's in my father's company. Qiao, don't worry. I will definitely avenge you for this. I smiled bitterly. Thanks. Qiao Kie, don't say that. Jojo. If it weren't for you, I might have been stuck in that mountain all my life. My dreams, my efforts, are all for all this today. And you gave me a chance to fulfill my ambitions. I can't thank you enough. Don't worry. That's Cumbag and that bitch. I will take care of them. After chatting, I turned off my phone, and then changed to a new one. The system at Tut D again. I thought the host was stupid. But it turns out you're so smart. Not smart enough. So I found a helper. I smiled bitterly. With my love-struck mind. How can I compete with Ting and Juaner? I'm an uneducated person with a love-struck script. If I want to get my father's money back, I can only find outside help. I took the bus for most of the day. Finally, I arrived. The ordinary days are about to continue. But there's only one person I need to beware of. Chen. Unfortunately, the college admission notice Qiao Kie got before is from Chen's school. Fortunately, Chen is a senior this year. Given his laid-back lifestyle, it's very likely that he won't show up at school. Just as I found the dormitory building, I met an old acquaintance. Juaner. Quite a coincidence. Juaner parachuted into Ting's company and, fearing criticism, spent money to buy a place to study. When enemies meet, their eyes blaze with hatred. Juaner was surrounded by her classmates and walking forward like a star surrounded by the moon. I was alone, striding forward with a woven bag. When I was almost close, I bent down and pretended to tie my shoelaces. The talking and laughing voices got closer. I suddenly stood up and swung the woven bag behind me with a clang. It hit accurately, and screams ensued. Juaner fell to the ground, looking at the stains on her clothes in disbelief. A bad smell spread everywhere. Are you blind? How do you walk? Can't you see that you've hit someone? I just stood there, smiling. Oh, sorry. Didn't see. Juaner's face was pale. What is this? I directly opened the woven bag and took things out. Oh. This? It's the big sauce made by my mother. It's very delicious. Do you want some? Juaner are etched in her beauty faded. Stay away from me. A girl next to Juaner even directly raised her hand to knock over the things in my hand. I'm quite good at fighting and bickering. I was just about to counter this move, when the low roar of a sports car suddenly rang out, obviously urging us to make way. This sound was obviously to Shoei. We all turned our heads to look. A Porsche was parked behind. The boy in the driver's seat had one arm resting on the window, and the other hand on the steering wheel, looking at us from a distance while leaning on the car seat. I, who was originally calm, for some reason, at the moment I met Chen's eyes, I actually felt a bit flustered, because, in Chen's passenger seat, there was also a girl with short hair. I suddenly remembered that the person Chen said he liked should be her. I chased after Ting for 5 years, so naturally I had quite a few contacts with Chen in life. Chen is an illegitimate son, although Lu Fengyan treats his second son quite well in all aspects. But in reality, Ting will always be one step above Chen, including bringing Chen back to the Lu family. And even Chen's name, it means that he will always be Ting's loyal subject, submitting to and being loyal to this eldest brother, the real heir of the Lu family. When I went to find Ting, Chen also often went out, holding his phone with a frown, looking very aggrieved. Once, when he went out and met me again, he casually asked, "Sister, what flowers do girls like?" I'm vulgar, so I blurted out, "Red roses." Of course. Mainly because I like red roses too. Later, he had more questions. "What sweet things do girls like to eat?" I shook my head. "I like stinky and spicy things. Like wosai fen and stinky tofu." He believed it. Finally. Once. He got dead drunk somewhere, and this drunk on the road. On Valentine's Day. I had an argument with Ting, and he directly threw me out of the car halfway. After picking up Chen, I carried him on my back and walked home. Seeing it was me, he laughed. "It's you, sister." I was sweating all over from carrying him. "Yes." Chen's voice was still pleasant. "You lied again." He was a bit incoherent. "She doesn't like eating lamb kidneys at all." Well, this was indeed made up by me. "I don't like eating them either." Chen's voice was very calm. "She has someone she likes." I'm sorry. There are plenty of fish in the sea." Chen's voice became lighter and lighter. "It's all your fault, Jojo." "Oh, he doesn't even call me sister anymore?" Chen suddenly said. "My girlfriend is gone. How are you going to compensate me?" I casually made up, "Sell myself to you." After a long time, I seemed to hear very faint, "Yes. I'll take it." Later, my relationship with Ting made progress. Once, Ting and I met Chen and that short-haired girl having dinner in a restaurant. Near the end of the meal, the girl suddenly got up and ran away angrily. And Chen, after sitting for a while, seemed to be thinking about something, and finally got up and chased after her. So now that she can sit in his passenger seat, she must be his girlfriend already. The people beside me subconsciously made room. Chen's car moved forward slowly for a few steps and finally stopped beside us. Seeing it was him, Chuaner took the initiative to greet him. "Zhao Chen, help me." Chen smiled lazily. "How?" Chuaner gave me an angry look. "It's all her fault. She got my clothes dirty. It stinks so much. Send me to your brother's house so I can change my clothes." Chen opened the car door. Just as Chuaner was about to get in, Chen tilted his head and whistled at me. "You. Get in the car." "I?" Chuaner's face changed. "Chen. What do you mean?" Chen glanced at her. "You're my brother's girlfriend. Not mine. Am I obligated to send you back?" He added. "Oh. Should I say? Was his girlfriend." Chuaner's face turned pale immediately. "I'm quite confused. Logically, they had an ulterior cooperative relationship. Chen should help her. But now he has this attitude." I patted the same stains on my clothes, and tried not to look at him too much. His eyes, if you look at them for too long, are really deadly. "I smell bad." "No, thank you." Chuaner, on the other hand, used her old trick, biting her lower lip and looking pitiful. "Zhao Chen, do me a favor." I looked at Chuaner with disgust. "Sister, can't you see clearly? Chen's girlfriend is still in the car. Is it appropriate for you to be so blatantly coquettish? Get out of the way. Get out of the way." Remembering how Chuaner seduced Ting before made me angry. I pushed aside Chuaner, who was still being flirtatious with my butt, and swung my woven bag, ready to leave the scene of the incident. Footsteps approached. Someone grabbed my arm. I turned my head, but my heart suddenly jolted, and my love-struck nature was ready to stir. When the words came to my mouth, I suddenly stammered, "You. What do you want?" Chen looked at me as if he was observing my soul beneath this face. He snorted. "I told you to get in the car. Didn't you hear? I don't want to. I don't know you. I'm not familiar with you." Still a statement without any confidence or backbone. Fortunately, I didn't get the script of a female lead who saves the world. Otherwise, I would surely fail. Chen, however, directly stepped forward, snatched my woven bag, and dragged me towards the car. After stuffing me into the car, he said, "You don't plan to compensate for the soiled clothes?" Damn it. Is he still on her side? I was so angry that my teeth itched. I directly took out a stack of small denomination banknotes from my pocket and threw them at him. Compensate you. Of course. I knew that the money was definitely not enough. Schwanner's dress was a Chanel one. I had bought one too. Who would have thought that I would be so unlucky to meet Chen helping her out? His girlfriend was still sitting beside me and smiled at me. Chen said something to her. And then she got out of the car. Such magnanimity was amazing. Chen stared at me from the rear-view mirror. "I think you look a lot like someone I know." A hint of gloom and complexity flashed in his peach blossom eyes. Oh my god. Does this guy have a god's eye view? I've even changed my identity. And he can still sense something is wrong? I gave a dry laugh. I have a common face. He continued driving. "What's your name?" I glanced at him and suddenly calmed down. "You from Yushi. Kiao from Lian Kiao. Kiao Pa. Actually, it doesn't matter if Chen discovers the truth. My main targets are still Ting and Zhuaner. Chen is not important in my revenge plan. The only thing I care about is that kiss he gave me." He paused. And the car slowed down a bit. "What a coincidence. Your names are even similar." I looked at the rearview mirror, raised my chin, and deliberately showed some provocation. "Really? Then do we look alike? Maybe she's my long-lost sister." "Huh?" He answered softly. "No. She's very beautiful. Talks a lot. And isn't very smart." Damn it. Still insulting me? But she's very cute. Every time she stands there talking, she seems to be glowing. That's true. I was such a big light bulb between Ting and Zhuaner. I myself felt so bright that it made my heart flutter. Seeing his strange tone, I tentatively asked again. "Judging by your tone, what? Do you like her?" I saw his fingers gripping the steering wheel curl up and then relax, as if with great force. But in the end, he still replied, "No. Okay. I get it. Insulting me isn't enough. Right?" Chen took me to a store. I refused to get out of the car. To be honest, I didn't plan to really compensate either. If Schwanner really wanted to cause trouble for me, I wasn't afraid at all. 5 minutes later, Chen came out with 2 paper bags and handed them to me. "This one is for her. And change into the other one." No need. "Also, why are you helping me?" He scanned me inch by inch from bottom to top with a scrutinizing gaze. "In August, Ting, my brother, his Fiang Ki Jojo, met you, right? In the hot summer of September. The air conditioner in the car was very powerful. But a cold sweat broke out on my back. This Chen, I couldn't outwit him even if I were reborn 10 times. Fortunately, from the very beginning, I didn't include him in the list of enemies. Chen drove the car into an alley. The sense of oppression and fear he gave me during the kidnapping suddenly came back. His fingers slowly tapped on the steering wheel. His lips parted slightly. And his words were full of meaning. "What's the relationship between Jojo and you? Or, is she really Jojo?" My scalp tingled. Chen, this person, is so smart that it's creepy. Or rather, he has been watching Jojo, from start to finish. Otherwise, how could he have noticed me? A complete stranger. As soon as we met today, I feel that my brain is not enough. The love-struck mind given to me by the system can't think too much when faced with this kind of situation. If I think too much, it feels like it will crash. I clasped my hands together and held them tightly. My palms were full of sweat. I asked Chen, "Then what about you? Why have you been watching Jojo all the time? She doesn't owe you anything, right?" An indescribable emotion appeared in Chen's eyes. He said softly in a hoarse voice, "Yes. It's me who owes her." After Chen sent me back to school, on my way back to the dormitory, I was still thinking about his last words. "You don't need to be afraid of me. Whatever you want to do, I'll help you." I don't dare to believe Chen's kindness. Such a character who is neither good nor bad. I can't handle. From his words, I vaguely felt that he had noticed something. Somehow. I asked the system. Buddy, are you sure I'm the only pursuer in this world line? The system said listlessly, ding. Beyond the question authority. I was angry. You're useless. When I got to the dormitory building, someone called out to me. Kiao kiao kiai. When sitting in the school fast food restaurant with Sun, he ordered a table full of dishes for me and carefully set out the chopsticks and bowls for me. He said enthusiastically, Kiao kie. Why didn't you tell me in advance? I could have picked you up at the station. I smiled at him. I won't get lost. Don't worry. Sun is Kiao Kie's neighbor. According to Kiao Kie's original storyline, she will be with Sun in the future. Get married. Have children. And live out her life. Before the life exchange, I asked Kiao Kie. She said she had no feelings for Sun, just regarded him as an older brother. But Sun likes Kiao Kie very much. I can feel it. When we were almost finished eating, Sun went to buy me a cup of hot milk tea again. Kiao Kie. I saw that those girls like to drink this, so I bought one for you too. Thank you. Brother Sun. He touched his head and laughed heartily. Suddenly, I was a bit dazed. Could I really be with a boy like Sun until the end? Can I like him? I received a call from Kiao Kia at night. The wind was very strong on her side, and there was only wind noise on the phone. Where are you calling me from? I crouched in the toilet with a toothbrush in my mouth. Kiao Kie, on. Cable. Car. After a while, the signal seemed to be a bit more stable. It's because I'm afraid Ting will hear. He has been following me more closely lately. I guess he must have noticed something is wrong too. I spat out the toothpaste foam. Then you should hurry up on your side. Kiao Kie's voice was scattered by the wind again. That night, after I escaped from Chen's house, I only did one thing on the road. That was to contact my father and tell him the whole story. My father is not easy to deal with either. We set a trap while playing along. My father told Ting that there was a problem with the cash flow and he couldn't raise that much money for the time being. So he mortgaged several of his companies to Ting. Ting had coveted those companies for a long time. The market value of those companies far exceeded 500 million. Simply put, after Ting got the management rights of the companies, he actually owed our family 500 million. Of course, Ting wouldn't know what the actual operating situation and accounts of those companies were like. Because Kiao Kie went back, she continued to play the role of my stupid beauty, but actually used her major and ability to break up the companies. Under Ting's name, they had already become shell companies without anyone noticing. After Jojo went back, Ting pretended to break up with Schwanner. But actually, he was also secretly observing Jojo. The system said, although the host, you are sometimes stupidly sad. But being able to become an outsider operator under the system-restricted IQ is also amazing. But I can only be a bit more sober and rational when I'm outside the situation. Once I fall in love, my IQ will drop instantly. So I could only ask Kiao Kie to exchange identities. Because the matter of Ting and Schwanner pretending to be engaged to me before was exposed after my car crashing into the cliff incident. After Kiao Kie arrived at my house. After Ting confirmed that she really had amnesia. He actually announced in front of the media that his dearest person was still Jojo. He even wanted to hold an engagement ceremony with Jojo again. And Kiao Kie and I decided that at this engagement ceremony, we would send Ting to hell. It's not so much hatred, but I want to get my money back and retrieve the face I lost in these 5 years. The engagement banquet is next week. And during this time, I tried every means to pick on Schwanner. I spread the news everywhere that Schwanner was dumped. I almost wanted to hang a big loudspeaker in the school garden to publicize it. Finally, Schwanner was successfully angered by me, and she brought a group of people to surround me at my part-time job place. I heard Schwanner almost ground her teeth to pieces. That you spread rumors everywhere that I was dumped by my sugar daddy? And said it was because I couldn't have children? And, also, that I had plastic surgery 18 times? As ridiculous as it could be, Schwanner didn't pretend anymore. She was so angry that she had more wrinkles on her face. Kiao Kie. Who do you think you are? Do you think that just because you have a name similar to that girl from the Yu family, you will have the same fate? A country bumpkin. Who gave you the courage? I smiled slightly. At least half of what I said is right? Schwanner's face changed. She walked closer to me, and her fingers with delicate nail polish grabbed my collar. What else do you know? After all, apart from Jojo, only Chen knew about those shameful things between her and Ting. I want the irrational Schwanner to also become a chess piece to indirectly destroy Ting. Just as I showed a mysterious and villainous smile, the door was kicked open. Several familiar people appeared at the door. Liu, Chen? Schwanner seemed very afraid of Chen. When she saw him, she subconsciously trembled. She maintained her fake smile. Xiao Chen. Why are you here? Chen directly ignored her words and walked past her. He walked up to me and looked down at me. Where did they touch you? Here it comes again. Again with those affectionate-looking eyes. As if he could look at a dog like that. I was just about to say that nothing had happened yet, when you came in and added drama to yourself. Probably because there were too many people around. He frowned. He held my hand and walked straight out. Schwanner might not be able to bear it anymore. A contempt in Chen's eyes was probably the last straw that broke her. She winked at the people she brought and directly blocked all of us in the room. A string of fluents where words blurted out. I'm really fucking fed up. Chen. Your brother doesn't take me seriously. And you also treat me like air? Are you so in love? As long as it's someone named Jojo, you'll protect anyone. No matter what kind of person. She's just a country bumpkin. Big brother. I'm really fucking convinced. When Jojo fell off the cliff, you were so sick that you almost spat blood and died. As if you loved her so desperately. You have a girlfriend, right? Are you crazy? Do you really think I'm afraid of you? I was shocked. First, I was shocked by Schwanner's extremely vulgar swear words. Second, by what she said about Chen. When I faked my fall off the cliff and escaped, he was so sick that he spat blood and almost died? I couldn't believe it. Maybe he was so angry about not getting the 100 million he had agreed with Schwanner that he spat blood? 10 minutes later, all the people Schwanner brought were knocked to the ground. Chen didn't say a word. He took the handkerchief handed by the thin man and carefully wiped each finger clean. A silent but terrifying aura. Schwanner huddled in the corner. And all her previous arrogance was gone. When she looked at Chen again, there was only fear in her eyes. The opportunity had come. I walked quickly towards her. Call him. See if he'll answer. Schwanner trembling dialed Ting's number with her fingers. The number you dialed is busy. I laughed. Do you know why he doesn't answer? Because right now, he's with Jojo buying the latest engagement ring. The emotions in Schwanner's eyes were on the verge of breaking down. I leaned closer to her ear. The new engagement banquet is at the Seaside Imperial City Hotel next weekend. Remember to be there on time. Seeing the almost crazy look in Schwanner's eyes at last, I was satisfied. The dog eats dog scene I was looking forward to the most. It was coming soon. After Schwanner left, I threw my question at Chen. How did you know I was here? Chen put a cigarette in his mouth, biting it without lighting it. His voice was very faint and muffled. A friend saw you being dragged into the room by Schwanner. I happened to be nearby. The doubts in my heart grew bigger. And my guesses became clearer. You have a girlfriend. But you still care about other girls just because my name is Kiao Kie? Are you so nosy? Chen absent-mindedly said. Yes. I like it very much. You like it, right? I can't get a single truth out of you, right? A secret, right? I smiled and gave him a thumbs up. Then, in front of him, I answered Dex Yuan's call and said in a light-hearted voice, Brothers I'm off work. Okay. I'll be down right away. Under Chen's gaze, I pushed the door and left without looking back. I was gambling that Chen would come down. I didn't walk very fast. When I entered the elevator, I didn't feel anyone following me. Was I overthinking? Chen was just like this because of his guilt towards Jojo, right? I almost thought that he had recognized me long ago. After going downstairs, Sun was already waiting for me downstairs. He waved at me, and I quickly walked towards him. Seeing the smile on his face, I actually felt a pang in my heart. Sun took a bunch of roses. Kiao Kie. Let's go to the movies. Just as I was about to nod, I keenly heard hurried footsteps. I didn't turn around. Instead, I took the opportunity to stand on tiptoe and hold Xuan's cheek, preparing to kiss. At the last moment, my arm was grabbed fiercely by someone and pulled back hard. Chen's extremely angry eyes reflected my face. I tried to break free. Are you crazy? Chen. He laughed angrily. Yes. Just think of me as a madman. Probably the impatient expression on my face completely enraged him. Chen actually, in front of Sun, forcefully held the back of my head and pressed me towards him. I felt his scalding and dry skin roughly and savagely touch my lips. He looked up, and his eyes looking at Sun at the end of his eyes were full of provocation and intimidation. To my disappointment, Sun was actually frightened by Chen's madness and fierceness and took half a step back. He just opened his mouth. You're going to. Chen's voice was a low growl squeezed out from his throat. Get lost. So, Sun really left. Damn it. Do I have to change my pursuit target again? Suddenly, hatred appeared in my eyes when I looked at Chen. I lowered my head and bit his wrist, until I tasted the iron on my tongue. Recognized me long ago? Chen. Yes. I bit harder. I'll ask you again. You've done so many things. Do you like me? I felt a hand gently rubbing on the top of my head. Chen's eyes were full of my reflection, but he still said, no. My nose felt sour, and I asked him again. Don't like? He silently looked at me for a long time, and I heard a very faint sigh. Like. Tears immediately fell, and I was so aggrieved that I could hardly cry. But just after Chen said that like, he suddenly jerked his head. I saw that between the fingers of the palm covering his mouth. Slowly, blood seeped out. The moment Chen fell, my mind went blank. What does this mean? Then I saw a girl with short hair running out of Chen's parked car on the roadside. It was his girlfriend. She ran quickly. I was still standing there, dazed. Then the girl bent down to check Chen's condition, then beckoned others to carry Chen on their backs, and sent him to the car, and then told someone to drive to the hospital quickly. It seemed that it was not the first time she had seen such a situation. The short-haired girl held my hand and led me to the roadside. Sat down. Then she slowly began to tell the story. Chen likes you. She smiled, but I could see the bitterness in that smile. Chen has a pursuit system task, but his pursuit target is me. He must be in a relationship with me and can't confess to anyone other than me. Otherwise he will. I cut in, die, and also lose the task rewards. Right? The short-haired girl looked at me a little surprised. Are you too? I nodded and asked her, are you also? The short-haired girl also nodded and continued. Actually, he hasn't even said he likes me once. He also told me that he got in touch with me because of the pursuit task. The short-haired girl and I were sitting in the hospital corridor. She tucked her hair behind her ear. That night when you escaped from his house and had an accident, he was like a crazy man out of his mind. He asked the search and rescue team to go down and look for you. I saw him kneeling in the muddy rain, as if possessed. He repeated the word like over and over again. While repeating it, he coughed up blood. Her finger touched the glass and poked Chen's forehead through the air. That time, he almost died. Fortunately, Chen's system is an advanced system. It told Chen that you were alive. Then he survived. The day the fake JoJo came back. He could tell at a glance that she was fake. I thought it was amazing. In my opinion, she was clearly JoJo. He just looked at her once, and was sure she was fake. October 6. An auspicious day for marriage. The engagement banquet. The hotel was full of guests. JoJo, the daughter of the Yu family in a handmade embroidered dress, was sitting in the dressing room. Qiao Qiabe at her chest, unable to conceal her excitement. So cool. I can already imagine the scene of tearing the scumbag apart later. I patted powder on her face. Be a bit more reserved. Okay? Your mouth is almost grinning to your ears. You're the female led today. Qiao Qiabe grasped my hand. Excited. Remember to call me again next time, there's such a revenge-themed story. I laughed so hard that I sounded like a rooster crowing. Qiao Qiabe reached out and touched my cheek. You're in a good state? Are you in love? She widened her gossip-loving eyes. Isn't it, son? I smiled and shook my head. Just as we were about to continue chatting, the door of the dressing room was rudely pushed open. Ting looked at his watch and impatiently said to me, "Makeup artist. Aren't you done yet?" Qiao Qiabe glared at him. What? Can't you wait for just a little while? Ting was angry but dared not say anything. After all, once the engagement banquet was over, he could get half of the 20 billion yuan new dower promised by Father Yu. Ting softened his tone a bit. JoJo, it's okay. Take your time. After Ting left, Qiao Qiabe asked me, actually, I think you should show up today. After all the hard planning for so long has been for today. I shook my head. No. You should go. If it weren't for you, things in the company wouldn't have been so smooth. Not to mention the revenge. People outside came in to urge again. Qiao Qiabe gave me a reassuring look and walked into the banquet hall. After the host's opening remarks, it was soon Ting's turn to speak. He took out the ring and knelt on one knee in front of Qiao Qiabe. Qiao Qiabe. I love. Ting. Fuck you. You scumbag. At the entrance of the banquet hall, Chuaner, looking haggard, was crazily pushing and hitting the security guards who were stopping her. You piece of trash. You idiot. Her crazy appearance showed that she was obviously stimulated. In Ting's shocked eyes, she said in a desperate tone, when you hired someone to kidnap JoJo, in the end, you chose me, right? She was in tears. Trembling. Why don't you say you love me now? I stood below with my arms crossed, watching the show, feeling very emotional. It's not that he doesn't love her. He just loves money and himself more. Ting even slapped Chuaner in front of everyone, trying to stop her from revealing more of the truth. Chuaner covered her face, looking at Ting in disbelief. Her body trembled violently as she pointed at Ting and cursed, "You disgusting man. Have you forgotten that you were finally cheated out of 200 million by those kidnappers? And you used JoJo's father as a sucker to cheat 500 million? The whole audience was in an uproar. Ting had a livid face and winked at the security guards beside him. Finally, Chuaner was dragged away. He could even continue to kneel in front of Qiao Qiabe with the ring. JoJo. She's a lunatic. Everything she said was made up in her head. Don't believe her. He was so sure because he thought JoJo really had amnesia, thinking that JoJo had forgotten all his past mistakes and sins. Only he would never know that the person standing opposite him was Qiao Qiabe, who would never be love-struck and was calm and rational. Qiao Qiabe looked at me, then at Ting, and smiled proudly and coldly. Sorry, Ting. Actually, I don't have any feelings for you either. Sometimes, when I see you, I even feel nauseous. Let's just cancel the engagement banquet. Ting was stunned for a long time. Proud as he was, now he was in a difficult situation with enemies on all sides. He chased after her unwillingly. He grabbed Qiao Qiabe's hand. JoJo, don't you have to marry me? Qiao Qiabe just smiled, with a sarcastic look on her face. Ting's face darkened. Are you sure? Your Yu family's company is still in my hands. Do you want to lose the business? Qiao Kie patted his arm. Speaking of which, I should thank you for acquiring those sunset industries of the Yu family that were about to be phased out. But I need to remind you that you still owe my Yu family 500 million yuan. Ting was as if struck by lightning. He could no longer hold the ring in his hand firmly. It seemed that he never expected that. The stupid Jojo who was so love-struck before seemed to have really been replaced. And my father, without showing any mercy, informed the police and the bank people to arrive. When I saw Eng being handcuffed, I didn't have any emotional fluctuations at all. I even felt that the 5 years I had been pestering Ting were like a dream. I'm a time traveler. My name is Jojo. Fortunately, I got the script of the daughter of the richest man. But unfortunately, because of the system settings, I was a naive, love-struck girl with no great ambitions. I had to find a man in this world who truly liked me, pursue him, and have a good love relationship. But I failed. With my own ability, I couldn't take revenge myself. But I couldn't swallow the anger of being betrayed. So I exploited a loophole in the system and found an outside helper. I watched the tigers fight from the mountainside and laughed at the dogs biting each other. Finally, I punished Ting. That's comeback. As I wished. Not only did I not lose 500 million, but I also made 500 million instead. It feels like a dream. System, why not try the female-led script next time? I think you can do it. No. After finishing the last task, I want to go home. Outside the banquet hall, Qiao Kie changed into ordinary casual clothes. She wore a pink t-shirt, jeans, and a backpack, just like the simple and ordinary dress on the day when I found her. I was surprised. Qiao Kie stepped forward and hugged me. It's time to wake up from the dream. I'll give your life back to you. We agreed before. After you helped me deal with Ting, you could exchange everything of mine. Qiao Kie faced the midday sun and smiled at me. The experience of being a rich lady is enough. I'm not a greedy person. I've learned so much this year. Also, I miss my mother too. She touched my face. Jojo, don't be afraid. Go home. Don't deny all the people who love you just because of a Ting. The phone vibrated. It was Chen's girlfriend calling. She said on the phone, "He's awake. Do you want to see him?" Chen had been in a coma for many days. Although he was out of danger, his consciousness hadn't recovered yet. I knew that it was the punishment for time travelers who violated the task requirements. Chen was probably receiving the harshest punishment in another dimension. I said with difficulty, "Thank you. You can tell me these truths. So your task has also failed, right?" She pretended to be relaxed. If it fails, it fails. At worst, start a new time travel task again. Anyway, I'm an old hand player. I just felt my throat was dry. It's not as simple as she said. People who can enter this world to do time travel tasks, before entering, are either seriously injured and bedridden at the least, or in a coma, in a vegetative state at the worst. After she hung up the phone, I quickly arrived at the hospital. In Chen's ward, the bed was empty. My heart tightened, and I rushed to the corridor to look for Chen. There was no one around. A strong sense of panic and confusion instantly filled my whole body. I walked back to the ward, fumbled in my bag to find my phone. I planned to call Chen's girlfriend, to ask where he had gone, but found that I couldn't get through to her either. I felt an indescribable dull pain in my heart. Tears also fell uncontrollably. Suddenly, there was a creak sound behind me, followed by the sound of flushing. The toilet door was opened. I turned my head, petrified. Chen was leaning against the door frame, his eyelids drooping as he was tying the string on his sweatpants. Seeing me, he looked me up and down with complicated eyes. Finally, he walked up to me, reached out, and pinched my cheek. "Are you willing to change back? Are you crying at my grave? I'm not dead yet." I directly bumped into his arms, rubbing my snot and tears all over him. Yes. 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 Some people, until they die, the hardest part of their whole body is their mouth. Chen laughed, and I could feel the vibration in his chest. He grabbed my hand and took 2 steps forward. I was against the wall. What are you doing? He pushed against me, and I couldn't move an inch. The hardest part of the whole body is the mouth. Are you sure? Do you want to try? I couldn't resist. When he kissed me, I couldn't help asking, why did you kidnap me and Juaner at the same time? He flicked my forehead. You're so stupid that I can't bear it. Even with a love-struck mind. Couldn't you see what kind of person Ting was in 5 years? If you didn't see it with your own eyes, how could you give up? He pulled me onto his lap to sit. He planned to tell me everything in detail. It was Monkey's fault when he sent you back last time. He said you had been howling for too long on the road and his brain was directly dizzy from the noise. Originally, he was supposed to send you home, but he sent you to the Liu family instead, causing you to be caught by Juaner again, just after getting out of danger. Is Monkey really not a spy sent by Ting and Juaner? When Juaner found me, she asked me to sleep with you and keep you locked up for a few days. Although I was very speechless, I had to accept it. Otherwise, she would send you to someone even more disgusting. Chen suddenly lengthened his tone. Not very serious, of course. I'm not a good person in the first place. As long as I can ensure your safety, I can do even the dirtiest things. Halfway through, I suddenly covered his mouth, as if realizing something. You're saying these. What are you doing? According to the time travel rules, these can't be told. Chen, however, pulled my hand down. I've already been punished. Chen, the system punished me. The time travel is over. Half a year later, Chen completely disappeared from the memories and lives of all of us. He had violated the rules too many times and was directly erased from this world line. Everyone forgot him overnight. Although his system had higher authority than mine, I later learned that the task assigned to him by the system was so abnormal. He liked me, but he couldn't say the forbidden word like, to me. However, he still wanted me to say the word like, to him under such absurd circumstances. No wonder. When he kidnapped me that time, he said half jokingly and half seriously, say you like me, and I'll kill them for you. But my like had been long overdue. 4 months after Chen disappeared, I suddenly woke up from a dream, thinking of Chen, and burst into tears, thinking of that boy who was neither good nor bad, thinking of the person who was willing to be erased by the system just to say like me. I also remembered that the first time he said he liked me was actually much earlier. At that time, I had just graduated from high school. I went to confess my love to Ting. He wasn't at home and didn't answer my phone. I got drunk and lay in his hallway making a fuss. A tall and big boy came back from evening self-study, and was startled when he suddenly saw me lying at the door. Finally, he bent down and carried me into his room. His room was much smaller than Ting's, but it was clean and tidy. Even a bit too simple. With the alcohol in my head, I hugged Chen's leg and made a scene, asking him to bring Ting back for me. Chen, who was originally sitting at the desk doing test papers, suddenly threw his pen away, directly picked me up in the air, and then threw me into the quilt. He seemed so angry that his teeth itched. He even rolled me up in the quilt twice. He spoke very fast, biting his teeth, and said fiercely, Jojo, you're really annoying. I don't know why I like you. I didn't hear the rest of the words because I was snoring. The next day when I woke up, I learned that Chen had a sudden illness and was hospitalized in the middle of the night yesterday. So, at that time, Chen, still a teenager, had already unconsciously expressed his unspoken love. I cried my heart out and told the system, can you make my task fail too? I don't want to do the task anymore. I miss him. I like him. I want to go back to the real world and find him. System, Even if the task fails? And you won't get any real-world rewards? I said with a sob. Yes. Ding dong. The system said in a mean way. Congratulations to the host for successfully pursuing the character, Chen. You get a 6 million yuan bonus in the real world. And a chance to restore your physical health. I was confused. System, originally, when you fake your death by falling off the cliff. Based on Chen's performance. You had already successfully pursued him. I was even more confused. Then why wasn't I prompted that the task was successful? Probably because it was about to be the end. The system finally got anxious. Dear. It's because you haven't really liked anyone else all this time. You got a love-seeking script. But you just regarded it as a task to pursue others. You haven't really been moved from the bottom of your heart. Your true feelings only emerged belatedly because of Chen's disappearance. So, the task is completed like this? A white light flashed. I came to an ideological space. The system's voice rang again. Welcome back. Real-world memories are being restored. My name is Jojo. I'm an ordinary female college student. My family is ordinary. And my personality is even more ordinary. When I was a child, because my family wanted to have a second-born son, my biological father carried me for more than 10 miles and threw me into the mountains. Later, I was adopted. But I didn't live a very happy life either. At the age of 16, I almost got defiled by my stepfather. After falling out with my family, I lived alone. I worked alone to save up for tuition, and got into college alone. I was a loner and didn't fit in. I hadn't loved anyone, and no one had loved me either. But I liked to watch a boy in our class play basketball. He was the most eye-catching person in the school. He was handsome, had high standards, was unruly and high and mighty. A dazzling rich second generation. I just liked to watch him. The closest I got to him was also during a mountain climbing and rock climbing activity organized by the class. He got up the latest and was late. There were only a few scattered seats left on the bus. He was wearing headphones and a mask. And his eyes, still sleepy, looked directly at me. He glanced at me and said in a low-pitched male voice with a bit of hoarseness after a hangover, "Is anyone sitting here?" I shook my head. I sat nervously throughout the journey, not daring to move. When we were almost at the destination, there was a landslide and the car overturned. One of my legs was broken. Everyone was in a coma. I dragged my broken leg and dragged everyone to a safe place one by one. I even completely forgot that the color of one of my leg's cans was almost completely soaked with blood. When I bent down to carry him on my back, he woke up halfway. He was more seriously injured than me. There was a large piece of iron sheet stuck in his abdomen. And one of his eyes was also injured. When he opened it, it was full of blood. He opened his mouth, gasped in pain, and after recovering, he cursed, "Jojo, stop moving. Are you fucking crazy?" He actually knew my name? I suddenly felt that it was all worth it. After I dragged the last girl out from under the chair and just stood up to catch my breath. "Jojo." With Chen's low growl. There was an explosion, and I was thrown to the ground by a heat wave. Welcome to the host to enter the time travel world. Immediately after completing the love pursuit task, you will get. And now my soul is suspended in the ward. In the snow-white ward. The table beside my bed is full of flowers and letters. System, your body in the real world is seriously injured. With large area burns all over your body. And your right leg is permanently disabled. Do you want to use this special reward item of restoring health on yourself? I hesitated for a moment. How is Chen? I remember he was also seriously injured. One of his eyes was damaged and his lung was pierced. Right? I looked at me, on the hospital bed still wrapped in gauze. If possible, can Chen be restored to full health? The system let out a long sigh. What to love-struck fools. System, what a coincidence. After coming back, Chen specifically applied for a request to his system. What? System, He refused you to use the health item on him. He wants you to use it on yourself. There was a commotion outside the door. It was my classmates. Some of them had only minor injuries. And some came with their arms in plaster. A female classmate shushed. Keep your voices down. Don't disturb Jojo. The boy with a bandage around his head said in a rough voice. I heard my grandma saw that for people in a coma, we should often talk to them loudly, so that we may be able to call back their consciousness. The boy trotted up to me, holding my hand affectionately. Classmate Jojo, I can't repay your life-saving grace. So I decided that when you wake up, I will be your most loyal and caring boyfriend. Okay? The door of the bathroom was kicked open with a clang. Chen, also in a hospital gown, walked out slowly. Chen looked at the boy with the bandaged head and sneered. Sorry. Jojo doesn't like ugly people. Chen pulled out a chair and sat down, his eyes sweeping over the hand of the boy with the bandaged head. Feeling his life was threatened, the boy with the bandaged head immediately withdrew his hand. But he still made a last-ditch struggle. Then how do you know what she likes? Chen looked at me. I know. She likes someone like me. Although the boy with the bandaged head was angry, he had no way to retort. If someone else said this, they would most likely be mocked for being conceited. But this was Chen. Although he couldn't see with his other eye, only Chen was left in the room. He wiped my face, cut my nails, and combed my hair. His movements were so skillful that I was dumbfounded. There were birds chirping outside the door. Chen walked over to open the curtain, and then sat back on the bedside. He pinched my face and said in a low voice, Jojo, the sun is shining on your butt. It's time to wake up. A suction force sucked my soul into my body. I opened my eyes. Chen was massaging my calf. As if sensing something, he turned to look over. A complex and uncontrollably surprised look flashed in the boy's beautiful peach blossom eyes. But I could see that at the end of his right eye, there was a light red scar. In his pupil, it was like stagnant water. Chen's right eye was blind. My voice was so hoarse that I could hardly speak clearly. Why didn't you let me use the item on you? Chen took a cotton swab, dipped it in water and moistened my lips. Compared to you, what is an eye? He put down the water cup and hugged me tightly into his arms, and then told me word by word. Jojo, you finally learned to love. Please don't think about anything or worry about anything in the future. These are things a boyfriend should do. I stretched out my finger to touch the scar at the end of his eye. But your eye, Chen casually said. I don't rely on my eyes to make a living. Losing an eye doesn't affect my handsomeness. I burst out laughing. In the future, if you make me angry, I can just turn a blind eye. Although it was a bad joke, I laughed so hard that my waist hurt. Ouch. Hiss. My waist hurts. He became serious. Where does your waist feel uncomfortable? His warm palm pressed against my waist. Even through the hospital gown fabric, it still felt very hot. He put his index and middle fingers together and pressed up little by little. Does it hurt here? Or where? Does it hurt inside? I'll call the doctor. I immediately grasped his hand. It's just that my waist is sore from laughing. Don't take this opportunity to be a rogue. Only then did Chen realize. He snorted, and with a big sweep of his arm, I landed lightly in his arms. His palm touched my lower back again, and my breath hitched. Chen chuckled. This is called being a rogue.